Good morning, everyone. This is Grace Stevens, and welcome to Mornings with Grace. It is Wednesday, September 18th, 2019. This is episode 2, which I'm calling The Pit Stop in Hell is Optional. I'm really excited that this is my second episode. I want to say a few things about the first episode. That's last week with Lori Diamond. One, I am so thankful for Lori to be my first guest and to really be open and vulnerable and talk about her life. And you do know that if you've been followers of this program so far, you do know that the themes of this program are about what I call the gears of life, my gears of life. And we talk about inspiration, imagination, magic, joy, gratitude, authenticity, and getting unstuck and taking your next step. The pit stop in hell is when we get very, very stuck. I wonder why I'm getting blurry. Live TV is great. So what I'm hoping today is we're going to talk about when we get stuck, how we get stuck, and maybe when we listen to our special guest later, we'll find ways of being inspired to get unstuck. Now, going back to Lori Diamond for a second, one of the things she talked about was the idea of celebrating people, even more important than accepting people. I found this something that I have not been able to stop thinking about since that episode last week. What's been really interesting is some of you may know that my latest book is Handbooks for Humans, which has a bunch of guidelines in it. And one of the guidelines is the answer to the riddle, what comes first, understanding or acceptance? And I always say that acceptance must precede understanding. Understanding may lead to knowing, but knowing is never complete. But Lori, in her very eloquent way, began to tell us that even acceptance isn't really the first step. What she was telling us is we should need to celebrate people. That's the first thing. And the more I think about it, the more I agree that celebrating all people, no matter who they are, no matter what their special qualities, no matter what their magic is the most important thing that we can do. So if you're like me, I'm going to just take that message of celebrating people and add it to my list of what comes first. Celebration, acceptance, and then understanding. So again, once again, thank you, Lori, for sharing that with us last week. Again, following what I usually do in terms of putting some of my trip pictures up in the background, last April I was in Holland, and this is a picture of a windmill, which brings me to the idea that today I am leaving on another trip, another vacation, and of course it's another bike vacation for me, but I'm on the way to Italy and Tuscany. I'm so excited about doing that. Little worried about the hills, but I do have an e-bike coming along, and it will be great. So that means there will not be a program next week, but the next program that we will have, episode 3, which will be on Thursday, October 3rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, that one's going to be titled The Art and Science of Reinvention. So I hope that you will join us then, and I will have another special guest that I'll announce later today. So, the pit stop in hell. Let's talk about the pit stop in hell. How many people get stuck and really the voices in our head are talking to us and we feel we can't make that next step? It could be due to anxiety. It could be due to stress. It could be due to an existential crisis. How many times do we ask, who am I? What is this life all about? What am I supposed to do? What am I going to do? And we get stuck and we feel we're all alone. Even when our friends try to help us, our best friends, our connections, we just want to take that blanket and put it over our heads. That's what I describe the pit stop in hell. I learned about this almost 2 decades ago from a spiritual teacher when I was taking some human growth seminars. And the idea of being in that pit stop in hell, that is optional. We have a choice. We can stay there. We can be in that pity party, or we can basically figure out what the next step to get out is. The most important thing is to take the next step. I wish I could tell you that the steps that I took or the length of time I spent in the pit stop is something simple to transmit to you, but I think each of us have to find it on our own. And if we have friends that are stuck there, the best thing to do is let them know we are there for them. And the magic words that we can transmit to them is, how can I best support you? At any given moment, they may not be able to respond, but they will respond, and it's important for them to know that you are there for them. That being said, I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, Steph McFee. Steph is a coach. Steph is a marketeer. Steph has that kind of smile that reminds me of Mary Tyler Moore that lights up the world. I'm going to introduce Steph now, and we're going to basically have a great conversation about some of her journey, some of the things she's doing, and some of the ways she's got unstuck. Steph, good morning.
Good morning, my beautiful friend. How are
Ditto. How are you this morning?
Good. It's so fun because a lot of people may not know, but I'm down way South Florida, and my beautiful friend is up north. We're both East Coasters, but you've got North and South here going on. And what I've been laughing about, Grace, is we're actually having a beautiful little cool front coming through, and we're only been like 78, 80, and I think everybody else is roasting.
It's actually in the 50s here right now, so it's a little cool. And I must admit, I've turned the heat on. I'm a little bit chilly right now. But I do believe I'm headed to Florence, Italy tonight, and it's looking like it's in the 80s there. So I'm excited. I'm so looking forward to this. And it's going to be a wonderful time I'm going to be spending in Italy. So, Steph, I know you now for about 1.5 years, and I met you through the tribe group of looking to do membership sites, looking to do the things that we're doing right now, learning how to be online, to stream, to interview people, but how to teach people and how to make a difference in the world, and to do it one person at a time. And we have that in common. We both very much want to make a difference in the world and help people become better people. And the way that I say it, the very best you can be. So I'm so excited to have met you first online and then in person in Toronto when we were there. And there are so many different things about you that I know, and there are many things that I don't know. I know that you've gone through some struggles, some tough times. I know there is incredible joy in your life. And I know you may be the #1 Disney fan in the world. And you are so close to Disney that you have a perpetual pass, I believe, that you're there all the time. So I would really love to cover so much of your experience, your life, talk a little bit about the struggles that you may have had, and also the joys in your life, and then what you're doing in the world right now that help people there. So I'm going to just hand this talking stick off to you, okay?
Awesome.
And let you go.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, my friend. And as Grace said, we were so fortunate to meet, and I want to really talk to people. I think a lot of people don't realize the power in social media, and I saw a post Grace did in our tribe group, and I just reached out to her, and now here we are, and it's led to a beautiful friendship. So I am a connection curator. I teach people, but I always tell people, don't be afraid. If you see somebody comment on something and you think, wow, that looks like my kind of people, reach out, because it can turn into something beautiful. But yeah, I was so excited when you told me about the title, because as you know, I definitely got stuck, and my family will say for 18 years I was stuck, and they tried everything to pull me out. But I loved this topic because it's actually what inspired me to get into coaching. And so my story is, I'm a young girl from Alabama, and grew up in a really tiny town. I was laughing. I was telling somebody, was saying where we live in St. Augustine is small, and I said, no. Right now, my town, I think, has 15,000 people, so it's still a pretty small town. So you can imagine what it was like. And I got this great opportunity to go study overseas, and I met this wonderful person, and we had this, great romance in life. And then, as we all know, right, life changes and we grow up, and things happen, deaths, and so many things. And we both just got stuck, and sat there for many, many years. And it turned out to be something that was just, I think, really destroying both of us. And like you said, I had friends trying to pull me out. But as you said, everybody's journey is different. And the reason people stay stuck and stay in their pit of hell is different for everybody, right? Whether it believe, like someone like me, who's ultimately, I am very Disney, I'm very positive, and I kept thinking, I can build the ladder and get us out. But you can't do that for two people. You only can do it for yourself.
Right.
And so however you want to look at it, I had this fabulous corporate job, and one day my brand new CEO of 6 months walked in and handed me those papers, right? Slid them across, and she says, I'm cleaning house, and you're part of the first group. And it was funny, that was my catalyst. That was the moment where I cried for, I think, 2 hours, but me being me said, let's put a plan together. And the plan realized that after 18 years, I needed to get out of my pit of hell and change my life. And best decision ever, hardest, like you said, it wasn't easy. I'm only a year, not even a year since I got divorced, and I'm only a year and a half in my business. I met you right when I was starting my business, and but it's just, like I said, there's so many things that can get you there, and it really does take you deciding. And one of my biggest things that I talk about with people that I realized, because I was in an unfortunate situation where the person I was with lost faith in themselves, and so therefore lost their faith in me. And so we had no connection and no bond. And I am one of these people that I look to others. I soak up, I'm an empath. I soak up your energy. So if it's negative, I soak that up. And therefore I got up every day and was miserable. And, couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. And so finally I said, enough's enough. I don't need another person, right? I need to be able to look in the mirror and see what other people see. So everybody says they see this big smile because I got a really big teethy grin that I embrace. And so I started embracing my smile and made this decision. And it's just, oh my gosh, it's been so amazing. And nothing's easy. But I believe everybody is a masterpiece, right? I call myself a curator. And I tell people the reason I picked the word curator is you think about when you go to a museum to see a exhibit or whatever, right? Somebody's curated that. They've taken all the pieces together and they put it in a place that tells you a story, whether it be about an artist or whether it be even seeing the dinosaurs, whatever it might be, right? Somebody's curated that, and that's what a curator does. So I'm a curator of people. I work with people to really help them when they're at this place where they don't know the pieces of their story anymore, right? Their pieces might be all at feet because they are in their pit of hell. And I say, you know what, the pieces are all there. We just got to figure out where your story's going, and I'm going to help you put those pieces together. So it's so fun, and I learn so much every day from people That's why I love to connect and to hear everybody's story about where they are and when they got stuck or if they are stuck. So, yeah, I think we all have amazing stories to tell.
Steph, when I saw you at Tribe, and when I met you at the Tribe conference, I think that conference was close to 1,000 people in a big auditorium. I think within a day, you probably introduced yourself to most of those 1,000 people. So talking about a connection curator, you connect to everyone and anyone, and nothing stops you from going up to someone and saying hello, introducing yourself. And I just can't imagine the amount of connections, the amount of friendships that you have, that you create, and you inspire me. I'm kind of, this introvert that basically sits back so much of the time. And when I think of how do I get out of my pit stop, I think of you, and I think of you just being willing to put yourself out there and connecting with people. So I don't think I've had the chance to thank you for the inspiration of watching you connect and how I learned from that.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny. I actually attribute this to my parents having an only child. It wasn't my choice, bless their hearts. They would have liked a couple more, but here I am. I'm a one and only, and my parents were, I'm a kid of the 80s, and mom and dad worked, right? I mean, a lot of us did, and you were alone a lot. And so I think I turned that into, I wanted to meet people. I didn't, like that loneliness. And so my mom laughs about they couldn't take me anywhere without me talking to people. And it was true, no matter what it was. And now I am blessed with my own little version of me who does the same thing, whether it be good or bad, because mom said, I would go up and if somebody threw something down, I'd say, you need to pick that up, all the way up to, hi, I'm Stephanie. So it's just been a part of me. And again, I think it is because if I'd grown up in a family with a lot of siblings or a lot of cousins even, it was just my mom only had one brother and my dad only had one brother. And so we were so small that I grew up in the South in an Italian community where everybody had 6 or 7 brothers and sisters. So I just was like, I'm gonna make my own family, and so my mother has laughed because I was always bringing home people. They talk about people bringing home stray dogs and cats. I brought home people constantly, and so she never knew who was going to be standing at the pickup line. Mommy saying, hey, her mommy said it was okay. And again, remember guys, I'm from a small town. Back in the 80s, this was okay. People did this. You just got to someone's house and called your mom and told them where you were. People can't even imagine that now. And it's interesting you say that, because I just maybe it is a gift, but I can just look at a person sometimes and just feel like I need to connect. And like with you, when I looked up what you had done, we had a lot of connections, but you were doing what I wanted to do as well, right? You had taken what had happened in your life and turned it into a book and speaking, and then we're transitioning to the next phase of that. And that's exactly where I was at the time. So it was funny when I was thinking about this, I wanted to tell you the same thing, because right now here I am on the cusp of getting my first book and getting speaking, and I have surrounded myself with people like you that I look up to, and I say that's what I want to do. And especially now that you're going to Italy, because that's on my bucket list. And the Disney version of Italy just doesn't do it justice. It's so funny. I think we all just can mutually benefit, and it is hard. And that's why the other thing that I say, and I encourage people, if you're like me and you're really outgoing, when you're at an event and you see the person that might not be, don't be afraid to go up and introduce yourself. And that's probably what you saw me doing too. A lot of times if I see people sitting by themselves or over in the corner, and also be aware, sometimes those people really want to be alone, so I can take a hint. But other times, go find them, because sometimes it might be that they're just a little bit shyer. They really do want to meet people. And so I just make it a point in my life to always look for those people in a crowd and go over and see how I can help them. And if I don't know somebody they want to know, and I'll say, hey, who are you here to meet? It's funny, I'll look in the book. I was just at a big event, same thing with about 1,000, actually it's 4,000 people in Baltimore in June. And I did. I was like, well, let's just look up and see who that person is. And maybe I know somebody who knows that person and we're going to find them for you. So, and it's amazing what a gift that'll be. And I have another Triber friend that I did that to. And we just went to Disney together with our daughters, and so it's incredible.
That's awesome. You said something that really struck me just now. And the idea that I was telling you how much that you inspired me, and then you returned how much what I've done inspired you. And in some sense, that's an example, for me, it's an example of my pit stop in hell, in that I get stuck in my head, in that I do all these things, and that's true. And I'm not quite sure exactly what the drive within me to do this is. Certainly doing Mornings with Grace and creating this morning talk show has been a drive. Yes, I'm doing it. People will say that I've inspired them. I don't fully get that because I'm stuck in my head so much. And the idea is when you just said that those things inspired you, it's sometimes that's difficult for me to take in. And I just wonder how much of this whole idea of inspiration, which is part of the theme of doing this, we don't really fully understand that what we're driven to do has an impact on other people. I don't think we do these things in order to inspire people, because the need is within us to let it out. But I just find that really very interesting, to trust that we're all here to find ourselves, find our lives, create our journeys. And the idea is when we get to share our journeys, when we get to share ourselves, I think that automatically and naturally inspires others if they're willing to listen.
Absolutely. That is one of my, I think my mission is to help people embrace that, right?
Yeah.
And so I talk about, again, as a curator, but you're right. What's the most beautiful thing a person can do is do something that they feel in their gut. Even I say sometimes it just feels like something, I have to do this, right? I need to do this. It fulfills me. And what's so interesting is when you do that, it does inspire other people. It seems selfish, right? When I was at my last organization, which was an organization for women, and we were working to get more women in senior ranks in retail, and a lot of the women would say, they wanted to turn it into something where they were giving to communities, right? Like charities and Dress for Success. And we kept saying, no, we're already a nonprofit. This is for you. And they'd say, well, I can't do something just for me. That's very selfish. And yet here we were trying to say, but that's what's missing. That's probably what's got you stuck from getting to your VP level. And you just don't even know it, right? Because you're not fully embracing all those pieces of you. And once you explore that and you do that, it's amazing. It flips that trigger. And then, but a lot of times people don't realize that you have to be selfish on those kinds of things in doing something that lights you, and fulfills a need inside you in order to get to that next step. That's really what you're missing. And it will feel very selfish. I mean, getting a divorce, a lot of people say that's a horribly selfish thing to do. And it is. I did it for me. I also did it for my daughter, but at the end of the day, I did it for me. I needed to do it to release myself to the next phase of my life. But at the end, look at me now. If I hadn't have done that, I would still, maybe my flame wouldn't be lit completely. It might be a little flicker, but it wouldn't be as bright as it is.
Right. That brings up a couple of different things and thoughts in my mind and when I go and speak and I teach and in some of the writings that I do, is we get trapped by the shoulds. Yeah. That the shoulds, which are universal, it comes from our parents, it comes from the cultures. And I think you have a little story you shared with me the other day about your daughter, so we'll get to that in a little bit. But the idea of why do we have this picture in our mind of how we should be, and if we do not meet that should be, what will be the consequence of that? And how much does that hold us back from letting what is truly inside ourselves, our heart, our passions? How do we even explore that? Sometimes we don't explore it, sometimes we hold it back. And what that does is create havoc in our minds, in our bodies. It creates stress, which is no good. So part of the idea of, what I talk about as live your truth, live authentically, is we have to honor what is inside ourselves, and we have to let what is inside ourselves out. And I think there's, I remember reading a book by Marianne Williamson that quoted from the Service on the Mount, where it said that if you do not let what is inside of you out, it will hurt you. If you keep it in, it will hurt you. I'm paraphrasing that because I'm certainly not that kind of scholar. But the idea is we think we're not supposed to, not allowed to. But then what we find is on journeys like yours, on journeys like mine, when we let it out, we're so free to really find a way to love ourselves, and that allows us to love and make a difference to so many others. So I'd love to kind of move from this a little bit to talk about the joys in your life, and I know the joys involve your wee McFee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's so interesting. When we were talking the other day, one of the parts of my journey, I was looking for a coach, right? And you and I are both coaches, but right, just like you don't, a doctor does doctor themselves, hopefully. They don't have, a coach needs a coach. And so I finally found this storyteller coach, and I was really struggling, as you said, even after I decided to go out and be a coach, with really how to tell my story. And so I went to a storyteller coach, and one of the best things he helped me realize, and it's called your signature story, your landing story. It's your story about you, but it's what everybody wants to hear. And he helped me realize in the story is that I had really kind of come full circle in this journey of mine. And my greatest joy is now, no matter what people think, is being a mom, being a parent. And it was so interesting when he had me practice my story, and I talk about, my goals in my life. I'm a very goal-driven person. My mother taught me early on. I think I was 6 or 7. The first piece of paper she had where I wrote my goals. And they were simple. It literally was be a mommy. And so we laugh about how the first goal I ever wrote down. And so I went on this very tumultuous journey to have my daughter. 14 years and nothing happened, and 6 months of testing, and finally realizing we had to use IVF, and what that all brought. But I was very fortunate. I had a great insurance plan that covered it. So we ended up having this beautiful little girl. And as they say, children, if you take a moment to pause and look at children, they will teach you everything you need to know about the world, right? Because especially when they're born, what you find out, and people say this, but watching my daughter and realizing you come into this earth with nothing, right? With nothing. You're naked, but there's nothing in you. And when I read something recently that talked about, mostly, hopefully, children, the first thing they see when they open their eyes is someone smiling at them, usually, right? And you think about what that does to you. And so you are born usually into love. Even if you're adopted, right, you were handed off to somebody and given love. And so you're not born with any of these predispositions. And so this beautiful little girl has really, she is my joy because I wanted to be a mom, but more than that, I think she has mentored me and guided me to make the decisions I did, which a lot of people be like, that sounds so crazy to think this, because she was 3. She just now turned 5, so she's just this little human being. But because I've been able to see what a human being looked like, right? What I once was, that I let the world, to you said, the shoulds get in my way. Like, I should just stay married because that's what you do in the South, right? Oh my gosh, don't get divorced.
Everywhere.
Ironic. Yeah. Right? So, society doesn't look at that positive. So I but this little girl who didn't know about the shoulds when she was 2 and 3, right? Kids don't. We're the ones that teach them. And so she's the one that taught me, to get out of it. So she's my greatest joy. And I would say my biggest frustration on days, because it's like looking at myself, and she does things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you're just like me. But yeah, it's the joy is the fact a lot of people will laugh how I dote on her. But it is because of what she teaches me every day. It's just incredible. So yeah, she makes me smile every day, even on the days like this morning when she didn't want to go to school, when she says she hates math, although she counts in the car all day, but don't call it math. So. All about perspective there. So.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So one thing that I never asked you is, how did you get into Disney and the mouse? And I know that one of your pages is Mama McFee and the Mouse.
Yes.
And I want to know the whole history of Steph and the Mouse.
It's so funny because my parents, even we've gotten into this debate, my mom and my dad, and they've been divorced now for almost 20 years, so it's really funny. And they're in their 70s, and so the memory's a little fuzzy now, trying to remember back how this all got started. But really the story is that we lived in the Gulf Coast and had a hurricane coming. And my parents had planned a trip to go to Florida, and somehow ended up getting a hotel near Disney. And we went, and I was, they think it's around 1979, so I was about 4 years old. Still a little discrepancy there on the date, but we have pictures proving it. So it sort of was just a love affair from then. My parents even really fell in love with it, and they laugh about, as other theme parks came along in Florida and other things, they would take me and I would just beg to go to Disney. So when Busch Gardens opened, we went there, and they said, literally, we walked in, I was there for 5 minutes and said, can we please just go see Mickey Mouse? So we're just not really sure what it was, maybe because of my parents said I was just always believed in magic. They could tell that from an early age, and they do have pictures of me little when someone gave me some ears, but it sparked something in me. And I look back now because there's really a lot of synergy for me with Disney. And like I said, you'll notice part of curating myself is getting back in touch with that beginning of life. And so what best place to do that than a place that was built for children? So you think about it, although adults, we love it more than them. But Disney for me is a chance to remind myself of where I came from, almost, right? I can walk away from the world and be in this imaginary place, and where people are happy. And to me, it's just perfection. It truly is. It's because typically, sure, you see the kids now 4 or 5 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, it may not be perfection when the kids are screaming, but at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, it's so amazingly happy because everybody's excited and energized. And so I just find that it fills my bucket. And it's so funny. A lot of people have been asking me to build a page with all my tips, because we've been going for 40 years. I'm 44 years old, so we've literally been going to Disney for 40 years. And I was very fortunate that my ex-husband from Australia had always wanted to go. And so we did have that one thing in common, and it became very much a passion. And when my wee one came along, we weren't going to take her. He kept saying, we're going to take her when she's 5. Well, 5 months is how long we lasted. So we took her, 'cause we missed it. We couldn't wait that long to go back. And so my little one, really, we live, not even, it's about an hour, 45 minutes away. So you can do it in a day. So my daughter, she thinks she's in trouble if she hasn't been to Disney in a month, right? She's like, I must be in trouble because we don't go. To her, it's just like going to the park. But again, for me, it is the capture of the magic. It also is good as a business owner, because think about the innovation and the imagination it takes, right, to do everything in Disney. And so I'm actually leaving as soon as we get done here, headed over to a conference that Disney has been partnering with UPS on for over 10 years. We've been doing a conference on sustainability there. But I love it because now I get to see some of the behind the scenes and really talk to them about some of the ways they innovate and are creative. And so I think I find that now too, especially to go and to question and to see what is behind what they're doing and why they do it. And I got a chance a few years ago when they came out with the now Magic Bands, and a lot of you, if you haven't been, they have these bands and it captures your data. And Accenture did some of the data analysis on that about 4 years ago when it first came out, and I was up there in their Chicago office and got to see about it. So it's tied to me almost full circle everything, because they are a business, they are a company. Their mission is incredible, what they're trying to do, which is bring happiness to the world and a place for families to come and be together. But they're also all about innovation. That's what they are. I mean, Walt Disney said it will never be finished. The park will never be finished. And so that just, wow, you talk about something that inspires me. So I have to admit, when I'm feeling stuck, for me, I go there and I go to the places to see what they are building, and it goes, okay, if Disney can keep building, so can I.
I love that, and with one of the themes of Mornings with Grace being inspiration and imagination, the people that create this Disney are the Imagineers. Yeah. They're not the engineers. So for me, who has been trained and worked 40 years as an engineer, I love the concept of being an Imagineer. That's just kind of fabulous there. Thank you for sharing that. That is the best advertisement Disney could ever get, by the way. So make sure you capture this video for them. What's great. What I want to do is, before I ask you Morning with Grace's 5 questions about you, I want to hear the things that you got going on. And, I know that you're doing the Curator Connection, the Curation Circle, and how you can help people. On the video, I have your website right up above your picture there, so people can contact you if they want. But there's anything. So what's going on for you now? What are you doing? And how are you making people better and the world better?
Yeah, so and thank you so much for that question, because you've been a part of this journey, and one of the things that a lot of people, like you said, we went through this program together, and you and I ended up in kind of some different places than really even what it was meant to be. And one of the things that happened, I got a chance to go through Tribe. I was creating a membership for another passion of mine, which is actually working with women business owners. I have had that as a side gig, you'd say, volunteering for pretty much my whole career, and now I get to do it for work. But we were looking to really expand and grow our membership there, and what I found is that I had this story to tell, and people that had been stuck like I had in various situations, and the fact that I went through job loss and a divorce all within about a 6 to 12 week period was so fast and so intense, and a lot of people wanted to know, well, how did you survive? Right. And I have to admit, I'm a daughter of an engineer, and and my mom was an accountant, so process and numbers are my thing, and so I wrote a process to get myself through it. And I ended up showing it to my business partner, and she was like, Steph, this is a program, you've got to teach this thing. And that turned into what I now call Curate You. So Connections Curator at the base is a business where I do consulting work with companies, nonprofits, and I help them look at how to build deeper connections with their audience. So the idea nowadays, so often when you have to innovate, a lot of people will automatically go to, I need to create a new service or product. And they don't often, or I got to attract new people, right? And sometimes we forget about the retention of the people we already have, and what we could do to increase that, because that's sort of that low-hanging fruit. And so I learned that over my career, and so I've decided to go in and help a lot of companies, and that's a connection, right? It's looking at how to deepen that connection in a way, probably to create some new things. But if you get that audience on behalf more excited, then they're going to bring in others. It's just an automatic. So don't forget them. So that's what I do on the consulting side in Connections Curator. what I decided to do on the coaching side is this Curate You program. And it's a 5-step program. And you were so generous to be one of my guinea pigs when I first put it out there. And it has quite a lot of iterations. But I have these 5 steps and that I walk people through, and you have to do the work. But I have guides and workbooks, and so I have a course, but now I've evolved that because a lot of people said, it's great to spend 6 weeks or to spend whatever time it takes me to get through the course. It's now you do it on your own, but I need something sustaining me when you're going through something like me. It's a year-long journey, right, going through my divorce, and I use Curate You every day. I talk about the 5-minute Curate You process, that literally when we wake up in the morning and you're stuck, how you can get yourself going again. And so I'm opening up now what's called the Curator Circle, and it's launching the end of this month. And the circle is going to be something that you sign up for, and you get coaching and inspiration every month, and you still do it on your own. So it's very inexpensive. And there's a community there to support you as well as myself. But again, the concept is these 5 steps, and I'll say it real quickly because I love to tell people. So, not every day is perfect. And I was telling you about my morning ritual, and but there's still some mornings, right? We all wake up and you lay in bed and you're like, oh, can I really do this? I just, whatever. I didn't sleep, I've got a cold, whatever it might be. And you just are not ready to face the day. And so when I have those moments, I use my model. It's so funny. Like we've been fighting a cold here, my daughter and I. So she couldn't sleep. So I had about 4 hours sleep last night. I'm laying there, So it takes, number one, courage, right? The courage to just say, I just don't feel good. The courage part of Curate You is admitting whatever phase you're in. It takes courage to admit you're stuck, right? And that's okay,
Absolutely.
but you have to identify it. So you do that first. Then you have the consciousness and awareness to tell yourself, okay, I've admitted I don't feel good this morning, and I'm aware of how I feel, but I also need to be aware of what implications that has for my day, right? If I just lay here in bed. So I need to be aware of everything going on, right? So I had this today, I had to get my daughter to school, right? I had all these things going on, right? So I needed to, yes, I feel like crap, but that's okay. And I need to be aware. And then you jump into this idea of confidence, right? So the confidence is you get up and you put your feet squarely on the ground and you claim the day. I do this every morning, and it's amazing how powerful it is. Now, the bad thing is, I should say this, but this morning I opened the windows and it's gray and rainy, so I laugh because I'm like, okay, come on, world. Seriously? I already don't feel good. I don't think it's a great day. But I said, you know what? That's okay. I still, as my grandmother said, woke up on the right side of the dirt this morning, okay? So that's a good start. So my confidence is I'm still going to take this day on. You can throw rain at me. So it made me laugh when I said, here I'm not feeling great. And it's, so I had that confidence. And then you go into what's called charisma. And the charismatic part for me is going in and looking at the mirror and identify something I like about myself. And it's hard, right? We have a tendency to nitpick everything. Oh, I got a gray hair, I got a wrinkle, I got too much weight, I got a double chin. But I try to do something. So this morning I looked in the mirror and I said, oh, look, my eyes look green. I'm going to wear a green shirt, right? So that was my charismatic self, right? Being, you know what, I'm going to wear a green shirt today because my eyes look green and I'm going to embrace that part of me. And then I'm ready to go out and make connections for the day. So that's my 5 steps, and I can do it in just, as you saw, a couple of minutes, right, and get myself going. And once you get into the rhythm, it's incredible. So that's my mission now, is to help teach people those kinds of things, because in helping everybody admit and embrace that we do have crappy days. We have mornings we wake up and we don't feel good. And you know what? Everybody does, but you know what? You have the chance to just take control and to find yourself. And again, my mantra that everybody is a masterpiece, right? There's something about you. And figure out what that is. You'll laugh, right? You'll hear people say, I like my arms, I like my eyes, I like my smile, I like my legs, right? Whatever it is, I don't care. But figure it out and then just pick it up. So there you go. That's Curate You.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. And if people want to reach you, they can reach you at your website up above? Great.
I'm sorry? Yeah. So StephMcFee.com has everything you need on it. There's a place to go into my coaching, my consulting, and then the curator circle is already up. So you could go ahead and get a sneak peek at what it's going to be offering. But yeah, that's the best place. And then, like you said, Facebook. I would love for people to come over to Connections Curator or to Mom McPhee and the Mouse, because that ties in everything. And also has a little bit of fun. My trial of always finding a hidden Mickey every day. I challenge myself every day. Excuse me.
Are you ready for my questions? My 5 questions?
Let's do it. Yes,
Let's
I'm
see.
ready.
I'm going to put them up on the screen if I can do that. Let's see. Here we are. So again, I define magic as your special quality. So what is your magic?
Oh my gosh. A lot of people say it's my laugh. Like yesterday I was getting a photo shoot done, and my photographer is a friend of mine, and she said, "Oh, we got to get some pictures of you laughing." And so then she got me laughing, then she was laughing, then everybody was laughing, and they all were like, "You just have the greatest laugh." So people just say, and it's loud. It's very loud. I will say that. So I've actually had people come across the room and say, "I knew you were here."
And it appears when?
My laugh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, all the time. I have to admit, it's amazing the joy I find in life.
Right.
And like just you right like then, like you could smile at me and it could just make me so happy I could start to giggle. Oh, that's I think my daughter's right. I might be only 5.
Well, there's a part of you that's 5, so that's
Exactly.
pretty cool. It's great. So when you laugh and when you're doing that, does it have an impact on you?
Oh my gosh, yes. The old adage, right? Laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah.
It's so true. So like, even this morning, my little girl, again, like I said, we're feeling bad, right? So she's 5. She's not like mommy. She can't just like do her 5 steps. But I started tickling her and I started giggling. And before you know it, she couldn't help it. She was giggling. So, and you'll find me doing that. Just like I say, I go up and I try, even at Disney, I've seen a cast members before, and I just stop and I smile and I say it's all gonna be okay, and I just can't help but I laugh when I smile. So I know that it just seems to be contagious, and I love that people like it as loud as I am.
And those are the unintended solutions, so that your laugh brings joy to others.
Yeah.
And the impact on that. And one of the things that I've learned when I was going to school for my counseling degree is that you never know the impact you have on others. You think you're doing a great job, maybe you are, maybe you're not. You think you're doing a terrible job, maybe you are, maybe you're not. I've had experience where a year after I worked with someone, they came back to the clinic I worked on. I thought they didn't get anything, and they said I made a difference in their lives. So this is the unintended solutions, and I think what you're saying is, I asked you one question. You actually answered all 5 questions with that answer, in that your laugh is contagious, your laugh brings joy to others, and you may be making a difference in their day by letting that 5-year-old part, that 5-year-old joyous part of you, just in total control of bringing happiness and joy back to the world, one person at a time. So thank you for responding to that. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Is there anything else you want to share, in any manner with people who are watching?
Yeah, it was funny when you were just talking about the laughing. I think people, that awareness, right? I mean, my biggest thing that I try to help people understand is to just be aware. We get so caught up in ourselves, and sometimes we forget about the world around us. And what I mean by that is I make a point to smile and laugh because people tell me it brings joy. Mm-hmm. And so when I go in to any meetings, anything, I make sure I am just smiling and happy. And ironically, right, then it does make me happy, right? I mean, it completely energizes me. And yet I'm trying to do it because I'm very mindful that somebody I might see may be having a really worse, crappy day than me. Right. And by smiling at them, I may or may not help. And that it's amazing, the gift. So just be mindful. Now, you don't have to be like me and be smiling, but I think being just very cognizant and aware of the little tiny things. And we talk about it, especially as we're coming up on the holidays, and you'll laugh. Like, I am a big one. I used to work at Walmart, so I have a cart pusher still to this day. And even when I was a manager, you learn to even push carts. And so anytime I see a random cart sitting around at a store or something, I push them up. I always, or if I see somebody struggling, I take their cart. It's just something. Number one, it does frustrate me when I pull on a spot and there's a cart. But number two, I also know how hard it is for them. So, but what I find is that it's amazing what that does for other people. Right. So the other day I was taking a cart and a lady didn't realize, and she said, "Oh, do you want my cart?" And I said, "Yeah." And then she looked down. She said, "Wait, you don't work here." And I said, "That's okay." And she was like, "Wow, that's so nice." And I said, "Okay, just go out and return the favor, you know." And so, I think that's the biggest thing is that those little random acts of kindness and those commercials that show how it can impact the other person, whether it just be something simple. So that's my biggest one, is just try to leave your house and be aware, try to get out of your head, and it's actually going to make you feel better. If you get out of your head, it'll make you feel better, and it can be the silliest little thing. It doesn't have to be huge. I'm about to go teach a sustainability workshop, which is another passion, and that's what we're trying to teach the people at this conference. People think sustainability, I got to do. No, start with the simplest thing, even if it is just recycling your grocery bags. Just pick something and start. So, it doesn't have to be grandiose.
Right. Just that little step, and picking up a couple of things that you said today. The idea is that each of us are a masterpiece, and we need to be curated. And you are the curator to help people if they get stuck, if they're in their pit stop at hell. And I wrote down one thing, and I think it was what your grandma said, is to realize you woke up on the right side of the dirt today. So, and remember that. So whenever you're stuck in there, just realize you are on the right side of the dirt. And it's never too late to kind of take that step, that next step to get you out. Remember to allow joy into your life and express gratitude that we're here. For most of us, we believe our one and only lives, and to be able to do that. So I'm going to express so much thanks to you. Hang on the line as I segue into the little closing and telling people it's never too late, and listen to my friend Lori Diamond as she sings our way out. So thank you so much, Steph.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Staring out your window again, you're thinking about how careless you have been with the hearts and minds of others and the mother you let down. But what you need to know is that forgiveness abounds. It's never too late, never too late, never too late for love. It's never too late, never too late, no, never too late for love. No.